Well, welcome in on this Monday evening. We will have several people coming in. Happy you're all in here early. Like I said, several guests will be joining us throughout the evening. We have got a lot to talk about. We started the conversation off this morning talking about all of the craziness from Rivalry weekend. Of course, those conversations are going to continue, especially when our guests join us. We're going to talk about all this coaching carousel news. We're, of course, going to talk hot seat. That has got to be a topic of conversation every single time. We're going to lightly talk about the conference championship weekend ahead of us, Heisman, basically your one-stop shop for all college football content. As you're coming in here, hop down into the chat. Let me know what you'd like to see. RJ, happy you're in here, man. As always, if you want to join in on the show, you just let me know. And you can be right up here with us. As always, happy you're here. Zach saying recently subscribed and loved the show. Looking forward to tonight. Happy you're here, Zach. Happy you're a part of the community. Let me know which team you go for. Let me know any questions, anything you want to talk about. This is, I try and pride this in being one of the most interactive shows, and especially the night live stream. It's pretty much, 99% interaction. Blood in here saying, sup, QWERTY, throwing the horns up. Of course, QWERTY, a lot to be excited about as a Texas fan. A fantastic season. You see the player development that's taken place under Steve Sarkisian, which whenever we cross-reference that to which you saw for so many years prior, I think it really shines a light on a major issue that Texas had, the lack of development, the culture, and it really goes to show what a coaching staff can do for a culture. Steve Sarkisian, even if people still doubt if he's the guy to win Texas a national championship, I think the doubt of if he was the right guy, that's the wrong question now. That has been answered, and abundantly so. Of course he was the right guy. Look what he's managed to do for that university in terms of recruiting the correct way, not just recruiting a bunch of talent. What he's done in terms of hiring a staff that has been fantastic in terms of developing. I don't think I have to tell you how much I think of Bo Davis and what he does as a defensive line coach. And that's just to speak on Bo Davis. You have got several top tier assistants. It's been very impressive to see, no doubt about it. Constant growth, which is all you want for at the end of the day in college football. If you're going to go anywhere, you must progress. And that's exactly what we've seen from the Texas Longhorns. So really excited to see what this weekend gives us. Blood in here saying, I hate Texas, but they will blow out OSU. I have to agree, Blood. I've said this before about Texas. I think you have got to be able to throw the football. If you're not able to throw the football with any sort of consistency, you're going to have a really hard time, especially against a defensive front like that. They're very talented. They're very, very talented. They're very disruptive. And Ollie Gordon is fantastic. And I understand he can get involved in the passing game. He is very dangerous in terms of the screen game. Oklahoma State likes to use him there. But that's a really, really tough Texas defense to just try and go up against and say, hey, Ollie Gordon, we're going to try and get it done in the screen game. We're going to try and get it done on the ground. I think those boys up front would welcome that. RJ just sent you that link. Fred Wright says, push off, Bama bias. Well, I mean, whether there was or wasn't a push off, Fred, they were hand fighting all the way through. The Auburn cornerback was holding on to Isaiah Bond before that, especially whenever he went to cut back. You saw the tug of the jersey, and the ref at that point's not going to call that, right? He's going to let those boys fight, especially on that last play. So, yeah, you're going to get away with some pushing, some shugging, some tugging. That's exactly what happened. It happened on both sides. So, yeah, I mean, what an incredible ending to the game. But the notion of Bama bias is actually interesting because today, I don't know how many of you follow college football nerds on Twitter, but they had a really, really interesting post about the perception of Alabama and teams such as Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Texas, teams that have this perception of always having the bias for them. And what he found was completely the opposite. That in fact, Alabama would typically be a team that had far less penalties called in their favor than called against them. One of the crazy things we've talked about before is last year, or the year before last, Jan, since I'm talking about this, you can correct me if I get it wrong. I think it was the year before last. Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, along with that fantastic defensive front, 0 holding calls. So there, in reality, isn't a Bama bias. In fact, what we see when we look at the facts, when we look at the data, is that there is a bias against top teams. And I'm not saying against Alabama. I'm saying teams like Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. Those are the teams that college football nerds linked. And whenever he talked about them, but he gave statistics, and what he found was top-rated teams don't get as many calls as their counterparts. Whether that's subconsciously, consciously, I don't know. But it is a really interesting conversation to have, Fred. How you doing, Jance?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right, man. Still suffering from last night, but I'm pretty good for the most part going into today.
Well, listen. I know you might be suffering from last night, but doesn't the sweetness of Saturday night kind of offset it any, or how does that work?
Oh no, it doesn't. It makes it just it's like you one Jalen makes a spectacular play, and then the other and it's literally almost the exact same concept that happened to me. It's just, you know what? I'll say this: Hurts won at least. You know, I like Jalen Hurts, so it is what it is on that.
Hey, at least both Jalen's came out with a win. Yeah. You know, we're sitting in here talking about this, and I think someone talked about the Bama bias and that Auburn game. But, Jance, I think it's a perfect time for us to talk about the Iron Bowl. That game was so poorly officiated. It was incredible.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this. You probably do. I guarantee you do. That was the same crew that reffed that Bama game last season in Tennessee, where they forgot what down it was and had to have that come to Jesus meeting to decide whether it was 4th down or 5th down. They ended up giving Tennessee 5 downs. What was your thoughts on the Iron Bowl? Because I had a heart attack in my living room watching that game.
I mean, we've been, we've been trying to tell everyone, at least in our group chat, that the voodoo play. I mean, we weren't joking about this last week when we came on and said that voodoo play. People didn't believe us when we said that place wasn't cursed. It is. Some of the weirdest things happen during that game when you play in Jordan-Hare, and it was a collective just of just a lot of things, a lot of uncharacteristic things that we did, including Kevin Steele. This was Kevin Steele's worst game by far from a schematic standpoint. I don't know why we continue to play with our light-based package, why Latham and Payne and Marshall continues to get the reps that he does. But I mean, from a personnel and from a schematic standpoint, we had the wrong guys in there, especially during their first touchdown drive. No, both their rushing touchdown drives where this was probably the least game where, as far as Otis and Keenan, they just didn't get the significant snaps. And so I'm just, still watching the game over, and I'm still scratching my head as to why Kevin Steele did the things that he was able to do. Now, of course, we made some adjustments because, we started to rush up the field, and as soon as that wasn't working, and they started to attack the perimeter, we decided to just play gap containment. But the problem is that we were playing gap containment with the wrong guys in there. It's just, it was just a lot of head scratching moments. Caleb Downs, besides the Texas game, this was by far probably the second worst game he's played overall from a collective standpoint. All of our inside linebackers, not just Trez Marshall, did not play that well. Jahad Campbell made some plays at the end. Deontay Lawson made some plays, but he still looks slow and sluggish. Still feels like he's hurt. And just overall, just from a defensive standpoint, this was a game where we knew what Auburn wanted to do was just attack the boundary, attack the perimeter attack the perimeter. They were going to have a lot of misdirection. They were going to have a lot of pre-snap motion. We knew what they were going to do. We knew that this was the type of game that Hugh Freeze wanted to draw up, and we still could not adapt to it. We still couldn't really stop it, and it's just concerning to me, man. 250 yards we gave up on the ground against, quite frankly, an offensive line that's just not good. That offensive line's not good at all, and yet we were just getting pushed around lally-dog. But again, I think that we had a lot of personnel issues. I think this was by far Kevin Steele's worst game as far as adjusting and getting the right personnel in that game. And I think the Georgia game will be different. It's going to be a different focus, but it almost kind of felt like, in a way, we were overlooking Auburn, and we were focusing on Georgia of not trying to give us our best looks. We still really haven't been able to show that much of the cover zero look that's been hyped up the Raptor package, all these different packages that were hyped up and that were shown wasn't even included in this game.
I think part of that's by design, especially Raptor package, because they just weren't throwing, right? Like Peyton Thorne didn't have the ability to throw, which kind of eliminated that. Now you're 100% on Keenan and Otis. That was perplexing. I think one of the things that I look at, man, just goes back to what, Jason, we tried to tell you, man. Even though I know you thought that the voodoo and Jordan Hare didn't exist after that New Mexico State game, and I get it, man. Truly, I do. That's Auburn. Like, I don't know how to describe it to people, right? And I think that now as like more Oklahoma fans, already a lot of y'all are keyed into college football, Texas fans here, y'all are keyed in. But as the SEC becomes your conference, you'll start to become more hyper keyed in. You'll start to see what we talked about with Auburn, where it's just like they pick and choose when to show up. And it's just the same as Georgia. Jance, they ran all up and down over Alabama, but they had over 200 yards rushing against Georgia as well. Like for whatever reason, they just choose to show up sometimes and they look like world beaters. But that's why, Jason, we call it Auburning. We always call it Auburning because you just don't know. Now, I did say this last week. As much fun as I had with them losing to New Mexico State, I was almost a little bit worried with how they lost because that told me that they didn't spend any time on New Mexico State, that Hugh Freeze had them boys prepping for Bama, and he did. I mean,
Coach Gill's a good coach over at New Mexico State too. So
true. Not to take away.
Overlook a guy like that, then it's going to probably burn you. I mean, not that they still should have lost it, but it's, it's not like he was going up against nobody. You know what I mean, as far as the coaching is concerned.
Very fair. No, 100%. And I don't mean to minimize what New Mexico State has done. And I know there are people rolling their eyes. No, they've been a really solid team, guys. They're a solid squad.
I mean, it's New Mexico State. You're supposed to win that game.
100%. When I say they've been a solid team, I mean relative to their division, all that. They're a really solid team in their division. But when you're playing Auburn, you're supposed to get handled by Auburn. But what an ending. One of the names I've heard for it that I love is the Milroe Miracle. Jason, talk to me, man. That's the Iron Bowl through and through.
Bro, yeah, I mean, and you think about the Iron Bowl, kick six, things like that, and this was equal, just surprising, 4th and 30-something, and he drops a dime there. I don't think anybody in the world thought that was going to go down, and what a way to extend your season and get it and still have a shot to get to play in the CFP. Obviously you got to go in and beat a hell of a Georgia team this weekend, but I tell you, it would have been, this game would have lost a lot of luster this weekend had it not been for that game, for that play. I mean, what a play.
I think you make a great point. Listen, I've said this. I think that this year we're being treated to more than just 4 college football playoff games. I think one of them is this weekend, right? And I think another, you could argue the Pac-12 as well in terms of Oregon, Washington. That's going to be a quasi college football playoff game, the SEC championship. I mean, just unbelievable games. The only reason I don't talk about the Big 12 is because I kind of expect Texas to handle Oklahoma State. I just don't think that Oklahoma State has enough variety.
What a disgrace.
What
a damn disgrace, man. By BYU. What a disgrace.
Oh, we'll talk about that. That was listen, if we're giving Dunce of the week, I actually absolve Auburn because Iron Bowl, right? Freaky things happen in the Iron Bowl. Yeah, that's all right. But BYU, we're going to talk about them. Guys, you don't even know how much I ran around my house whenever he dropped that 4th and 31 pass. I got up, started sprinting around. Now, Jason, I will tell you this. That Big 12 officiating has been terrible. But I don't know if you watched that game. What's welcoming you in the SEC ain't much better.
It's way worse.
It was awful.
I think the biggest thing about the whole deal and what's been going on, it's the last couple of seasons since they announced that they were going to the SEC.
No doubt.
It's the optics of it. And, basically, really, I mean, it was almost an admission that you were going to get screwed. You know what I mean? And you saw what happened in the Bedlam game. There was some stuff that happened in the Kansas game as well, I think. And then you had, the commissioner out there basically telling you that they were more or less going to do something like that in the Texas Tech game. Now, Texas, did what you're supposed to do and beat the brakes off of them so that it didn't become an issue. And I'll tell you that I think that that's exactly what Oklahoma should have done against Oklahoma State. They missed a lot of opportunities that they had to put that game out of reach and not allow the officials to really get involved in it the way they did. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But yeah, Truth's got it right. At least the SEC calls holding penalties.
Well, you remember we talked about that season.
Holding calls last season against conference opponents. 4.
Well, that's 4 more than Bama got when they had Will Anderson and Dallas Turner, the best edge rushing duo in the nation. They went through a season with 0 holds called, which, if that sounds absurd, I know. Yeah. I know. It's crazy. Jason, I don't know if you saw this, and then Brinsky, I'm going to pass it to you to give your Auburn Bowl take, because what a game. College football nerds, if you haven't seen it, I'll send it to you right now over Twitter. They put out a fantastic thread today about the perception of these teams, such as Alabama, having a bias in their favor when it comes to officiating. But actually, when you look at the data, it's the complete opposite, where teams such as Texas, your Oklahomas, Georgias, Oregon, Ohio State, they actually get less calls going in their favor over the sample size, and teams actually that commit more penalties go into those games and have next to no penalty. It's just a fascinating tweet thread that if you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend. Well, Brinsky, with that, what'd you think of the Iron Bowl, my man?
Man, what did I think about it? Oh, man. Okay. At first, I thought we was gonna take off, man, and just blow them out early, and that's what I wanted, because I know how it is playing in Jordan Hare, man. You cannot linger around and play against Auburn, because if you do that, you get those type of results at the end. But usually they're not in our favor a lot of the time. But we started off quick and whatnot, and it was just stupid penalty after stupid penalty. After we scored and getting close to the goal line, it just felt like we was moving the ball consistently until we get to the red zone, and then we just forget how to play offense, and we settle for field goals and whatnot. And then I don't know what's up with these guys, man. Like the last 2 years, they just cannot stop the run against Auburn. I don't know what they did with Auburn and running the ball. It happened the last 2 years. Luckily get out the half the way we did. Started off slow in the second half. And I just remember Nick Saban saying something in the press conference that really just blew my mind. He said, ask him, do you believe in luck? And he went through all the drives in the second half that led up to before that pass. And you asked me, do I believe in luck? I think that answered your question right there. And I'm gonna tell you right now, man, that basically fourth and 31. I was so close to posting with my wife. She was recording my reaction because she's a Georgia alum for a bachelor's and doctorate for her, and she went to Auburn for a doctorate. So a very weird combination. And she was recording my reaction because I was just so quiet. And man, when I say when it happened, I was so stunned. I couldn't even yell because I was just like, did he catch it? Did he catch it? And when I tell you, when they showed the replay, okay, his feet are down, but did he maintain control? And when I seen it just stayed in his stomach, man, I literally ran up and down this house like it wasn't no tomorrow.
You did too.
I felt like a little kid all over again, man. And I promise you, Ty, we could have beat them guys by 50. And I promise you, this was more satisfying than beating them by 50.
I'm glad you thought that, because I aged like 45 years.
No. I definitely aged,
I'm gray as hell now. It was
Well, one thing I wanted to question this though. Is like you've been rushing a bunch of guys and keeping pressure on Milroe the entire game. And that last time you decide to send
two people and have a spy.
That was
Two
crazy.
people and two. Like, what are you having a spy for?
What are you
Like,
doing? You know what I mean?
I would rather
And
have
like,
right. Like, I would rather have him go outside the pocket because you're cutting off one side of the field.
and
Like,
the guy in
I
the
don't know.
corner of the end zone is the guy you decide not to double.
I surely thank
I
him
don't know.
for it.
Wild, bro. Wild.
It was only probably 2 or 3 things that Jalen pissed me off about. The pass to Black, he should have just took off and ran. He would have easily got the first down, maybe a touchdown. The second one that he pissed me off over, and it probably was the worst one, when it was 3rd and 20 before we passed, when he pitched it off to Roy Dale, when he ran it off, and it was just him in the corner. And I remind you, Jalen Milroe is built like a tank. Why you didn't run through him? And you trying to shake him, and now he created 4th and inches. That had me more nervous than anything. But last one, man, I was just like, that last one that pissed me off was when, of course, they McLaughlin snapped the ball terribly. But
Did you see the explanation for that, though? So Saban was talking about it, and they have a clip of the Auburn safety number 10. He runs right up to the line and claps. And that's what caused Seth to snap the football, is 10 ran up to the line and clapped. And then Seth thought it was Jalen that clapped, and he snapped it. They have the clip and everything. So, yeah.
Should have been another flag. It's another flag they missed if that really happened.
Speaking of, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest this evening. It has been far too long since he has graced us. RJ, there might be some new people in here since the last time you joined us. So let the people know who you are. And, yeah, very happy you're here, man.
Yeah, it's good to be on, man. My name's RJ. What's up, guys? I played college ball. I started in UK, transferred to U of L. Played for the Browns. I was on the practice squad for the Browns for a couple months. I played overseas. I'm currently playing arena ball right now. I'm also a trainer, so I'm training athletes all over the South and anywhere I go. I'm actually, as we speak, I'm waiting on one of my kids that I'm training at Kentucky. I'm in Lexington tonight. He should be here in about another hour. So if he's on while I'm on, I'll let him come on here and talk to you guys. I talked to Ty about that a couple weeks ago. Yeah, man, and I just found Ty in algorithm. I made some comments, brought me on the show. It's been up from there, man. It's good to be back.
Man, great to have you. Well, from a player's perspective, man, talk to me about the Iron Bowl, because I was freaking out during that game.
The Iron Bowl was crazy because I went to the Louisville game. So I had to catch the game on my phone. But we were looking at the game and we're like, what is this? What's going on? Alabama's great tricky. It's over. Ain't no way they're going to get this done. And I'm sitting here thinking about all this stuff I kept telling you in off-season time, like, man, Milroe's good, Milroe's in, which has proven to be so. So I'm going to pat myself on the back about that. But
He's a baller, man.
Yeah, he's progressed over the season, and people still giving him a bad rap for the Texas game. Well, the Texas game was like 14 weeks ago. This is a completely different quarterback. The defense is completely different. So yeah, man, the Iron Bowl was crazy. It was a good finish. Just like every game, rivalry week really always be good. I don't know if you guys seen the Louisville Kentucky game. That was a good finish.
Oh, yeah.
Kentucky won by a touchdown. Yeah, Kentucky won by a touchdown. I think Baylor, West Virginia was like every game was close this week. But that's what you expect though when you playing your rival. You know what I'm saying? You be turned. No matter how good or bad your rival is, like you really just be turned. Like we're gonna take these boys' heads off the league. You know what I'm saying? So,
man.
Yeah.
And that play will live on in infamy. And I think it's good that it came on the 10-year anniversary of the kick six. So that way for the next 10 years, they can talk about the Milroe miracle.
No, they still show the kick six.
Damn the kick six. It's the Milroe miracle for the next 10 years, damn it. Well, guys, listen, that was one of the many great rivalry games this week. But Jason, I want to pass it to you because earlier I told all the Oklahoma fans watching that I would be getting someone from the Oklahoma community on here this evening to talk about the Oklahoma search, because it's no secret that I think Luttrell is a good option. But I've also heard some talk about some other names. There's Corn out there. Then you heard something about Brennan Marion, which I find to be really interesting, especially with his go-go offense. I think that would be fascinating. Talk to me about the search, and then we're going to open it up for the table.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of trains of thought when you start looking at that. In view of the fact that you have Matt Wells, Seth Luttrell already on staff as, they're as what is the word I'm looking for here? Analysts, sorry. As analysts, and they've got a lot of experience already running their own offenses, as offensive coordinators and head coaches and with lots of success. The other big thing would be that, so that's going to provide continuity. And then obviously you would have the continuity of the offense is just not going to change a bunch if you are going to stick with either of those guys. The terminology would be the same. And the hope would be there that you're going to keep the guys that you already have in the 2024 recruiting class, I would think. Now, obviously you already had a decommit today of a receiver there from Fort Worth. But to me, I think that, that one train of thought is to stick there, don't go outside of it. I think that's kind of Oklahoma. If you look at what happened during the Stoops era as well, you had a lot of guys that were promoted within kind of over and over, right? I kind of feel like that's probably the way they're going to go. I do think that there's some of the guys that you just mentioned are at least worth a phone call to gauge their interest in it. There's guys like Sean Lewis, I think, that's out there. I mean, he's a big name all over the country. And I think it'd definitely be worth kicking the tires there as well. It's also a similar, scheme that they run there at CU. And then he was obviously quite successful at Kent State. And he was wasn't he the OC at Syracuse for a while as well? I think it was.
Yep. Co-offensive coordinator.
Yeah. So, and he's generally considered one of the brightest minds in the game, the young guys that are up there. I don't think you could really go bad if you kind of kick those tires. That being said, I think that in order to keep kind of some of these guys that you have in tow, you're starting to hear that there's a possibility that you might lose a guy like Michael Hawkins, who is in this class, which would in turn probably it could mess with you on Devon Mitchell because they seem to be kind of tied at the hip as far as that's concerned. You haven't played together at Allen last year. I just feel like it's one of those things that I would think you probably want to see them stick with those guys. And I don't really know that you can go wrong with Seth Luttrell or Matt Wells. I think that they've both been really good as coordinators and head coaches. And to be quite honest with you, I mean, what we've talked about a lot this year. There's been times that Jeff Lebby has left kind of, unsavory taste in your mouth after play calling some of the way that he did. I understand their overall ranking was fabulous throughout the season. They were number 3 in scoring offense, number 4 overall in total offense in the country. But some of the things left you scratching your head at times. It seemed like you're probably going to get a little more even playing calling from a guy like Luttrell. 7 years at UNT, you could tell me as much as you want about that one too. I mean, he had 1 year that they weren't in the top, 15 in the country or something like that in offense.
Very consistent in terms of what they did here at UNT. Now, UNT was bad, but that wasn't his fault. UNT is bad. Right, like that's not Luttrell's fault. They just don't pour the resources into the program. The
scoreboard though with a lot lesser talent than what you've got, in Norman, of course. So, I don't think that you could really go wrong with those guys. Again, I think it's worth a conversation to talk to somebody like Sean Lewis. And you were bringing up the coordinator there from Kansas, right? Man. That guy has got some schemes and some things that they do running the football that I really liked. I hated watching it against Oklahoma. But look, I think that there's there's some things that you probably want to see, and with the running backs especially that you've got coming in, you've got two really good ones coming in. Taylor Tatum, and then you've got Xavier Robinson also, who's really underrated if you ask me. That guy, we're talking 6'2", 220 already. You watch his film and tell me you don't think he's better than a 3-star, because I don't know where that comes from. In any event, I think that you can't really go wrong with some of those guys, but I also feel like with Seth, I think Seth is probably the leader in the clubhouse if you're thinking about it right now. Possibly Joe John Finley as well, except that I think that he may be in line to be the coordinator there at Mississippi State.
Yeah, I've heard some.
You take a coordinator position instead at OU, probably. Probably.
You want to know why I think it would make sense for him to take it there over OU? Lower expectations.
Yeah.
Fair. That's fair.
It allows you to grow into the role as opposed to like being handed something and it's like, hey, we expect you to hit the ground running, like not missing a beat. You got to remember, man, y'all aren't, you're a blue blood. You know what I mean? So expectations are not where the average college football expectations are.
Well, and I think as tight as he is with Levy, and Levy took a lot of heat, for more than just his play calling. Levy took a lot of heat, and I think that his family was upset with Oklahoma, and probably rightfully so, for some of the stuff that happened in the whole Art Briles situation, and him being on the field during or after the SMU game. Look, I think, but yeah, if that's your thing, then you probably, if he's okay with less expectations, then you probably don't want him at Oklahoma either. So
fair. No, 100%.
One name I heard throwing around for coordinator too is Dino Babers. So I don't know if he's
I like Dino, man.
looking for another head coaching job, but I know a couple people do want to bring him in as coordinator. So I think it'd be a good fit Oklahoma.
He's a hell of a coach, right? He's a hell of a coach. He can scheme it up, man. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Again, I think there's guys out there all over the country that you could probably, tab and do great there. For the sake of continuity in the class that you have, they still have I think they're number 7 in 247 right now. The rankings as far as that goes, you've got, as I said, you've got the number 1 overall running back in Taylor Tatum coming in. You've got guys like, they really need a tight end, and when with the one that they've got coming in, you really want to try to probably keep some continuity there with guys that have probably already recruited them a little bit. So, I could definitely see them going that route as well. Again, you haven't really heard anything from Coach Venables about it yet, so you don't know which direction he's leaning or anything like that. My guess is those guys wouldn't already be on staff if there wasn't a reason behind it. I think that when Coach Lev was up for the Alabama offensive coordinator position and Georgia last year, so and it seemed like it was pretty close to him going. I don't think anybody had expectations of him staying much further past this season. So maybe one more year. But I don't think it surprises too many people that he's taking a job somewhere else.
Yeah, as I open this up to the panel, Truth asked, do you think fans calling for Levy's head encouraged him to consider the job, or is he just taking the head coaching job regardless? I'd lean more towards taking it regardless, simply because head coaching opportunities don't come knocking often in college football, not for Power 5 SEC. Mississippi State, that's a hell of an opportunity. At his age?
I think you have to take that job, right?
Yeah.
I don't think you take a lateral position anywhere, and you may not take a head coaching job in the G5, but you got to take an SEC job. You don't.
And it goes into the question here: do you buy stock in Mississippi State now? So as I open this up, I guess we'll start Jance, then RJ, Brinsky, Jason. You and I will add in as we see fit. Talk to us about the OU coaching search, names you look for, names you like, and then talk to me about what this means for Mississippi State with Jeff Lebby going there.
Yeah, so for me, when I look at Oklahoma, again, I look at some names. I look at like a Scott Frost. I look at a Cliff Kingsbury, who's with USC right now, who's again one of the best offensive minds in the game, who provides a lot of explosiveness to your passing attack. I look at some the Utah offensive coordinator. The name's escaping me, but he's been pretty hot for a while. I look at Arizona's coaching staff. I look at a Brennan Carroll, who's been pretty solid. I look at it for the most part their passing coordinator and Jimmy Daughtry, one of the hottest passing coordinators you're ever going to be seeing in the country. Did a phenomenal job of drawing up some really, really good passing concepts. For the most part, Brendan Carroll was the one that was calling the plays, but that's probably one of the hottest duos right now in college football. As soon as Noah Fafita, as soon as he came up and that passing attack completely changed, that was really, really good right there as well. A Ben Arbuckle from Washington State, again, another his first year calling plays, and you have a top 3 actually passing offense in the country, top 10 offense national in the country, and that's your first year calling plays. You don't really have the salary that Oklahoma would definitely give you. Oklahoma would definitely give them a bigger salary. So, I'm looking at just kind of younger offensive coordinators or maybe some well-known established names. That I think the most important part is they have synchronization with the quarterback, because that's the most important thing, right? Your offense, the quarterback is the most important position, and having that continuity with your quarterback as far as how can we progress our quarterback? Because like I said, Dylan Gabriel's not going to be there forever. Sooner or later, you got to move on with Jackson Arnold. You could keep that same offensive philosophy that Jeff Lebby took, or maybe you get a guy that's known for going through different playbooks, but still working with different quarterbacks as far as finding ways to really elevate their game. I feel like these are young coordinators, probably young upcoming guys, hot guys, especially with Arizona. Arizona is going to be one of the hottest. It's going to be one of the hottest destinations as far as teams that they're going to try to kill Jeff Fish as far as stealing his coaches. He has a really good coaching staff, and especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I definitely think that those are some names that I think Oklahoma could try to look for.
Mm-hmm.
RJ, what are you thinking, man?
It just really depends. Honestly, being inside college program, I think a lot of times you really want to keep everything in house. You know what I'm saying? Just for continuity. But if they want to go outside, Dino Babers would probably be a good hire. Maybe go get Joe Brady off the couch. I don't know where Brady is. Go get Joe Brady.
Oh, he's in Buffalo. He's staying.
Yeah, he just became
he's
OC
staying.
of Buffalo, right?
Yeah, he
got the OC job. Okay, that's what's up.
staying.
He definitely deserved it. So we'll see where they go with it. I have heard Sean Lewis's name come up in that search too. So we'll see if he's interested in that. He'll be a great fit for that. Kind of the same offense, same tempo. So it won't be any drop off or anything like that. So that'll be somebody that can put in there and plug and play immediately as far as the offense is concerned. So I am interested to see where OU goes with this hire because they're at a turnaround with the program. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're right on the edge. So they got to keep the momentum going. So we'll see what happens. I hope they end up with Sean Lewis. We'll see where it goes. Yep.
Boy, that'd be dangerous.
Yeah.
Boy, that'd be dangerous.
He's the truth, man, right?
And Sean Lewis getting fired from Colorado, I thought was a joke. I thought
when they took away his play calling stuff. That was
just a joke.
So I have people
did, man, but until that, I didn't get that.
So I have people inside that program. Actually, I have a kid out there, Vito Tinsley. I train him. He's a transfer from Kentucky. We have people on the recruiting staff and stuff. So I actually know what happened in the Sean Lewis situation. It was unfortunate, but that just he signed up for something that he didn't think it was actually going to be. So we'll just leave it there. He signed up for something he didn't think it was going to be. So that's why you still hear his name hot on the coaching trail. Like usually if you get fired, like your name's Sully, you're not going to get any jobs. You're not going to be a head coaching candidate. Like his name's the head coaching candidate. There's a reason for that. And that's behind the scenes. That's behind the scenes. So we'll just leave it at that. He is a hot guy. Like I said, a lot of people are interested in him. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's just a lot more complicated than what y'all think. It's complicated.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And one thing I'll say is I don't want anything to do with Cliff Kingsbury.
Well,
good on that one.
You're going to hate chat as they're trolling. Man. We have Eric saying Jimbo Fisher would be a home run hire.
There you go.
We have Chicken advocating for Ferentz.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, Lord, no.
His little daddy got rid of him. That's exactly who you want to know.
Yeah. Well, you're going to hate one of my picks then, man.
Okay, Brinsky, talk to us.
Man, and since you brought him up first, I was going to bring him up second. Cliff Kingsbury. I would not.
Hell no.
I know you don't want to.
You want the air raid offense?
Hey, only reason I say I can see that happening just because of all the turmoil going on in Southern California, and him going to Brent Venable, I think can be a match made in heaven. Just hear me out. Brent Venables work on the defensive side. He work on the offensive side. They level each other out. I can see that happening in a little bit. I know you don't want it.
Nah.
I know you don't want it. It could happen. And
I'm kind of tired of that Texas Tech tree, bro.
Hey, the Emmett Jones tree is working very well.
Now, Emmett, yeah, but he's not just a Tech guy. He's been other places. And I think that he's another one of those guys that they've been talking about a lot of this is the possibility of doing co-coordinators and having Emmett be co-coordinator with either Seth or Matt Wells, because look at the way he's recruiting. He's killing it in recruiting. His the development of these receivers as well has been really, really good. I think he's an up-and-comer, and you got to get him opportunities, and you probably want to keep him around a little longer too, because I think he's that good. And I think that around the program, they believe that too. He hadn't had an opportunity to be a play caller or anything like that. He hadn't been a coordinator, but I think that you got to get him ingrained in that in some way. I don't think that would be a terrible idea either.
But I would think y'all can get just had his name all top of my tongue. Seth Luttrell.
Yeah, Seth, he's already there as an analyst, so I think that's
so
he's the lead dog. So yeah,
that was
he played for on the national championship team. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That's another, and I like the Scott Frost one. I don't like Scott Frost as I don't like Scott Frost for many reasons, and this all goes back to his playing days. I don't like Scott Frost for many reasons, but as an OC, I like him.
We have a lot of people saying Tom Herman's not doing too much. That's another name.
That's a name you don't hear every day.
Jay comes in here advocating for Jimbo Fisher.
Jay. Yeah, Jay's laughing about that one.
Well, here's the thing: you could probably get Jimbo for pennies. I mean, A&M's paying him to be rich forever, so you might be able to get him for 35 cents.
Would he come out? I mean, he's already getting millions, man. Like I said, he could be chilling out in the Philippines.
Hey, that's true. Coach Petrino's available. Y'all can have Coach P.
Coach Petrino.
I'm thinking that the way that they acted about Art Briles being on the down on the field after that game, I don't see Coach Petrino really being very welcome there. So
I don't like Coach Petrino. Just so y'all know, I hate that guy. Yeah. I hate that guy.
You don't want him stealing one of your sisters.
I figured that was the case, but I didn't want to go there.
I hate that guy, man. We ain't gonna go there. So I started off with Charlie Strong, and then when Coach Strong left with the Texans, they hired Coach P. The worst 4 years, the worst 2 years of my life.
Oh wow. Oof. That says something.
That's unfortunate. Well, listen, it's that time where we've been putting this topic off for a while. Jay, where you at, buddy? Come on in here, because it's the top. Transfer portal is bumping. I mean, even while we've been in here, we have had some names. Chris Tyree from Notre Dame earlier today. That's a name to keep an eye on. Someone is going to get a fantastic playmaker. Raleek Brown, USC hits the transfer portal. That is an offensive weapon. Will Howard hits the transfer portal. Guys, let's talk about this, because transfer portal mania is about to be in front of us, and you've heard a lot of people talking, coaches in the background giving anonymous takes saying it is about to be insane. RJ, I'm going to start with you, man. What are you hearing in regards to the portal? Are we about to be in for a wild ride?
Well, I'm hearing it's going to be some names that hit the portal that want to go play for Coach Prime. That's what I'm hearing from that circle. I don't have anybody that's willing to give me that kind of intel anywhere else. But I do know that from talking to Vito, talking to a couple of people that are around that program, they have a couple of people that are going to surprise you guys when they hit the portal and the transfer to Colorado. And it's going to be like, that's insane. Why would you even transfer? Like, it's going to be a great portal, though. I do know a couple of kids that are going to hit the portal. I don't know where they're going to go. A couple high-level SEC kids right now. A couple of them that are playing at the SEC level right now at the University of Kentucky. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. It's going to be good for everybody. The portal season is always cool because you don't know who's jumping in, who's jumping out. The one thing that I do tell my kids when they ask me about the portal, I didn't personally go through the portal, but I do know that you have to be sure that you want to take that chance because once you're in the portal, it's over. Like it's over. You can't go back. Can't go back. So I caution kids about the portal, but as outsiders looking in, it's fun to see this. It's fun to see people move into the portal. Where do they go? Where do they not go? What happened? What didn't happen? Everybody follows these storylines. Yeah, everybody follows the storylines. But from a player standpoint, if you get in the portal and you stuck, it's a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the portal is a double-edged sword, right?
Yep.
And I think a lot of people have asked for protections around the portal, and I get it. But I think the portal is going to be one of those things that eventually it'll equalize itself, right? It'll kind of come back together because you'll have so many people thinking there's greener pastures. There won't be greener pastures to be had. Or you'll figure out that, where you were may have been better. But I think that the concept of the portal was absolutely necessary. Now, we have Eric here who just commented saying Alabama is setting up a tent on Texas A&M's campus. Eric, as much as I agree, I think we might be surprised by how few guys transfer from Texas A&M. I think there will be a few, but I don't know that we will see the exodus from A&M that many people thought, and I think that they're doing everything they can to retain Elijah Robinson. That
with
is
E-Rob
first
and with
Elko.
With Elko too. I mean, he's been there until just the last couple of seasons. So yeah, I think they did right there. I think it took them a while to get to the right spot, but they got there. Surprisingly.
True. Jance, what are your thoughts on the portals, man? How wild is this about to be?
It's gonna be fun. It should be really, really fun to see. I was literally just about to ask about Colorado. I think Colorado's they're going to have a nice recruiting cycle. No, I think they're going to have a nice portal cycle, I should say. I think they're going to have a nice portal cycle. Don't think they're going to do that well on signing day. I do think the portal, that's an opportunity for a lot of players, maybe even some big time players to kind of go over there, go to Colorado. I mean, the for the most part, the environment, the celebrities, it's just crazy. This is really kind of crazy to go there right now. And I think for the most part, there's going to be a lot of players that could potentially enter the portal and they could receive a lot of players. So I think Colorado could be one of the hottest teams once again to kind of look at as far as trying to get some better quality players, especially on the offense, especially on the line of scrimmage. Got to get better in the line of scrimmage. That's something that they're going to target heavily to try to improve on. So that's going to be fun. Obviously with Bama, I think the one name that everyone will look forward to is Evan Stewart. They're going to be, if Evan Stewart puts his name in that portal, and who knows, A&M could do everything in their power to try to retain it because Mark Stoops is there now. That's one name that I think every single Bama fan is going to look at. They're going to look at, is Evan Stewart, his name in there? Because as soon as his name in there, for the most part, I'm not saying he's going to come to Bama. There's a lot of other options, but that's one of those big time players that you got to get one of those big time players, especially that Jermaine Burton's going to be gone after this year. One of those big time players that you want to try to get. But everything else, man, I mean, like you're looking at a Chris Tyree, you look at a Will Howard for Kansas State, who I think someone's going to get him. And I think he has an opportunity to start. I look at you look at some talented players like Eli Sanders, all these other players, man, it's going to be wild. I think it's going to be a really, really fun kind of season, man. And like I said, I think it's kind of more of a good thing for college football because you have that signing day that everyone pays attention to, man. But you now have this portal thing that everyone's going to be paying attention to up until the season. So it should be fun.
Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they've been talking about it a lot, that this is probably going to be one of the craziest cycles that you've seen at all, and I think that a lot of that probably has to do with Coach Prime, and the fact that he's kind of shaking things up there in Boulder and just the way that he's attacking this, knowing that you kind of it takes more time to get guys that are ready to rock and roll from high school. So in order to be able to get out there and get some proven guys, and as long as there's not any real, I hate to use a Lincoln term, but guardrails on it, and they're they're allowing people to there's tampering like crazy going on. Why wouldn't you go after some of these guys? I do feel like I feel like you're probably going to see some guys that'll probably leave good situations and end up in not as great situations. I don't know that A&M really loses much, right? With E-Rob, particularly defensively, because as long as E-Rob's going to be there, I can't imagine that they're going to leave. I hadn't heard anybody wanting to leave yet. You know what I mean? As far as that goes, and that's why I don't know about Wegman and some of the guys on offense, but I think that defensively they're probably locked up there with Elko and E-Rob, right?
Well, and here's something to watch. Now, this is just, once again, opinion, zero information here. My opinion saying, watch this. Elko leaves Duke, goes to A&M. Watch that Duke quarterback. He had a great season. Let's just pretend A&M retains Thomas, Moose Muhammad, and if Anaya Smith comes back, even if Evan Stewart leaves, that is an unbelievable wide receiving core with those three guys right there. I mean, that's dangerous with those three. Plus, if Ruben Owens stays and then you have Moss, I mean, my goodness. That's something to watch. Now, once I've heard nothing about this. It's just we just saw his coach move. Something to think about. And that's the only reason I bring that up is because Anthony here, Miami fan, says, Ty, how about this possibility? Connor Weigman enters the portal and transfers to Miami to play for Dawson. I have no idea what Miami is going to do, Anthony. I am probably as perplexed and excited for Miami as I am for any team out there. But I could actually see something like that happening depending on what goes down at Texas A&M. But if they decide to stay put, he won't go anywhere, right? Like if they don't have a quarterback come in there, I don't think Weigman will be inclined to transfer. RJ, have you heard anything in terms of just like the A&M situation? Because I haven't heard much. It's just kind of been an uneasy silence.
Not too much. So I mean, the people that were going to leave are still going to leave. So it's not anything new. It's not like, oh God, this guy's, we don't like him, we're going to leave, because a lot of guys were there. Some of the guys were there when he was there too. So I think it's just kind of the same thing. You might see one or two extra players hit the portal that you weren't thinking, but like everybody said, I don't think it's going to be a big exodus. I haven't heard anything like that. I think it's really just the same players that were going to leave are still going to leave. You got the issue going on up there with the NIL. Some kids are still having an issue with that, so those kids are going to leave. But other than that, it's not going to be a big, the whole roster's leaving. It won't be that type of issue. Texas A&M would be cool. Elko would be set up. So we'll see how that goes.
James Thrice says Miami's probably going to try and get good vibes out the portal because Miami's seat, Mario's seat's getting hot.
It is, but I tell you what, I have heard coming out of Miami and the University of Florida, they are not happy with what's going on, especially University of Florida. One of my people that is on the board of trustees down in Florida said that Billy Napier gets one more season because of the class that he has coming in. Like, he has one more season to win 8 or 9 games, or they're going to fire him. And this is a quote. He said, "We're going to drop off a blank check at Coach Prime's door."
Oh,
interesting. Interesting, because those Florida ties would go crazy in recruiting.
That's what I said. And I was like, okay, y'all might have something there, but do you think he'll leave? And I was like, it'll be year 3. Everybody will be gone. Anybody that he can buy in, he can transfer in with him. I was like, it'll be a good situation, but I don't know if he'll want to leave Colorado that early. But they said that they're watching the situation in Colorado. They like what Prime did. Coach Prime is Coach Prime. Is Deion Sanders. Like, let's not fool ourselves. Mm-hmm. You put that brand with one of the SEC brand, and it's over. It's going to be crazy. They're going to have the number 1 recruiting class as soon as he steps on campus.
And yeah, it's interesting, RJ. I talked about this earlier with Napier, and I was like, Napier is on the hot seat in terms of not this offseason, but he's going to go into next season on the hot seat. right? Yep. He's going to be one of a few coaches, just like, I mean, honestly, Drinkowitz was one of them this year, and look how that turned out. But there are a few coaches every year that enter the season on the hot seat. That's exactly where Napier will be starting next year. Brinsky, I want to pass it to you about the transfer portal. What are you excited for, man? Because already a big linebacker from Arkansas enters the portal. He's going to be really coveted.
Man, it's the holiday season, so it's the most wonderful time of the year. That's how I feel about the transfer portal, man. There's only two names I'm looking at, and that's Walter Nolan and Evan Stewart. I truly believe if those names hit the transfer portal, Alabama will get them. More Evan Stewart than Walter Nolan, but I can see them both coming there. I believe Evan Stewart should have been there from the get-go, but it's about to be a frenzy, man. It's about to be a straight free fall of players all over the place, man. I'm just hoping it's a name I'm trying not to jinx right now. I really want to see him leave a certain school, but I probably tweet it later just in case.
Man, these schools about to be rubbing their hands like Birdman, man.
I'm
about to be rubbing it like Birdman. I'm telling
you, bro, it's about to go down, man. This is so lovely right now, man. Just wait until they open the floodgates. Oh man, they about to run through it, man. I just can't wait. I believe them hiring Texas A&M hiring Echo. It was cool. I can understand the ties and him being there. I still say okay to it or whatnot, but are you going to be able to keep those guys there? It's a big possibility, but I don't think Evan Stewart looked like he checked out a long time ago. I truly believe he checked out a long time ago. And you definitely got to keep Elijah Robinson. But there's always room in Alabama, my brother.
Well, and here DB says Evan Stewart doesn't want to catch passes from Milroe. Milroe finished up as the fourth most efficient quarterback in the nation. His deep ball is the second best in the nation behind Jaden Daniels. Jalen Milroe progressed as much, if not more, than any other quarterback in college football, certainly prime time college football. And now think what he'll be next season. This is the scary thing, gentlemen. Look at how Jalen Milroe developed under 2 years of Bill O'Brien. Now look at how he developed under a season of Tommy Rees. Now Tommy Rees understands his quarterback. They get each other. This offseason is going to be beautiful if he comes back. If he decides to come back, which I believe he will, he's going to continue progressing. I mean, we've seen more progression in the span of 5 weeks under Tommy Rees than we saw under Bill O'Brien, which really goes to point back to something I said for years. Boo, Bill O'Brien, boo, boo, Bill O'Brien. But, Jance, I know that felt good for you to hear, didn't it? You're on mute.
No, I was about to say you don't like those four receivers with the running the option routes?
I hate it.
You don't like those?
I hate
stops?
I hate it. Hate it so much. But no, I mean, DB, this is a quarterback that has completely changed his game. I mean, he dropped over 300 yards passing on Texas A&M, which was a top 25 pass defense. And Auburn. Look, Auburn has been a bad team all year. I grant you that. But Auburn's pass defense was actually
their secondary is good. Yeah, their secondary is pretty good.
Only part of that team you'll hear me just talk up because that secondary was actually really good. It's a good unit. Milroe did his thing against them. He dotted him up. I mean, absolutely dotted him up. And he's going through progressions. Jance, how many times over the course of these few games have you seen him actually go through some progressions coming off the first read to the second? Unbelievable improvement for Jalen Milroe. I'm so happy.
He's looking off the safety. He's looking after safety, looking at certain defenders. It's really, really good to see. I mean, I think again, and I even kind of complained about this a little bit, the fact that Jalen Milroe kind of hung in the pocket a little bit too long when because the offensive line is finding its rhythm now. I mean, Caden Proctor is literally turning into a different player right in front of our eyes. But kind of, one of the biggest complaints was like, okay, you could have just taken off. There's like 9 occasions where he easily could have took off and, for the most part, ran it for like, 10, 11 yards and extend drives. And he's just hanging in the pocket, going here, going there, just going through progressions, extremely quickly. And he's extending those plays. He's trying to find, right. He's trying to become, a more mature and more natural thrower of the football. So, I mean, like I said, it's a good thing. It's kind of a good problem to have because you can clean those up. And Jalen Milroe, for the most part, I think he's just trying to, take into consideration, okay, when should I take off? When should I hang back a little bit more in the pocket? But he's going through those progressions every single one of those times where he's hanging back in that pocket, he's looking off the defender. He's trying to manipulate certain coverages. He's doing a really good job. And I think that's big improvement compared to the Texas game.
Yep. And that's one of the things that I kept telling people this year. And just like the comment, it just kind of harks back to what I'm saying. Like everybody's thinking about Milroe earlier in the season or last year, like it's a completely different Milroe. Like I was talking to somebody and I was like, I don't know if everybody's been watching Caden Proctor, but it'll be like the first half, like he'll be making mistakes. He'll get beat with a move in and out, a hitch move. And then in that second half, you'll never see him get beat again. He learns from his mistakes. And it's like now he's starting to become a complete player. We see why he was a number 1 offensive lineman in the pool, like in the class. And it's like, I don't know why everybody's doubting Alabama. Like, oh, they're going to lose this week. I'm like, what are you guys looking at? Like, this is, in my opinion, one of the best teams in the country. Like, easily a beat Texas by 2 touchdowns if they play right now. Easy. Yeah, it's easy.
Yep.
Wouldn't be a question. So,
I wish they would have beaten them by 2 touchdowns when they played them, damn it. But instead, Texas got that dub. And damn it, it is what it is. I'm excited to see this college football playoff committee decide what they do tomorrow. Because I'll tell you this, if they rank Ohio State ahead of Texas and Alabama, I don't know what I'll do. I'll just be very unhappy.
It's probably going to happen. Yeah, they're going to do it. Yeah. They're going to do it.
I don't know how you could do that.
Alabama been sitting at number 8 for like 15 weeks.
That's so to me. There's no, but when you look at the Big Ten and how bad it is, aside from those 3 teams in it, there's no way you can justify that. Who the hell has Michigan played aside from those 2? And at least with Ohio State, they at least played Notre Dame. But I mean, what are we talking about?
Even with Notre Dame, we see what they turn out to be. So that's not even a good thing to hang your hat on anymore.
Notre Dame got killed by Louisville, and then Kentucky beat Louisville. Like that right there should just be the end of the conversation as far as Michigan's strength of schedule. I mean, yes, they beat Penn State and they beat Ohio State, but then you look at, look, who are the top ranked offenses in that conference? Maryland. Penn State has the 15th best scoring. They have the 15th best scoring offense in the country, but their rushing offense and their passing offense doesn't match up with their scoring offense numbers. Like, it's just their defense keeps giving them good field position, and to their credit, they capitalize off of it. But they're Michigan's about to play a team in Iowa that can barely score 14 points a game, and it's just like that. That's your conference championship, man. But it is what it is at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if we're still in number 8.
And I'm still just hanging my hat on. Like, how's Oregon still ahead of Alabama, man? I just can't get it out.
Because of the eye test. It's just the eye test. That's them.
What eye test? Who are they playing? They was hanging their head on Utah for the longest, and that just gets uglier about a week. And then you lose your only big time ranked game outside of Colorado, who we all knew wasn't ready the first year. Y'all lose that. Who you beat? Arizona State? That's what we hanging our hat on. Oregon State are some frauds. That's why I was like, man, they trying to say the Pac-12 was just the best conference. I was like, if I can tell you right now, if Oregon play LSU schedule or Alabama schedule, matter of fact, I'll just say Alabama schedule, Oregon will lose 4 games. This is not even
at least three. But yeah, I think that they're no better. I don't think that they'd be any better than what LSU is, and that's what bothers me about the whole Heisman talk. Is I don't think there's a way in hell that you can say Bo Nix has been better than Jaden Daniels. I don't give a shit.
Let's talk about that. That's an amazing conversation.
Talk. That's crazy. Jaden Daniels is the Heisman winner. Let's talk about something else. That's what the conversation
I
should
said
be.
there's really nothing to
That's
talk
what the
about.
conversation should be. You know? What the
100%.
conversation should be.
I got this crazy. Y'all.
He's got 1,000 yards more than everybody. I mean, he's got the
What
same
are we talking
yards
about?
as Bo Nix, and he's got 1,000 rushing yards too. And because their defense it gets run through, they're making it a team thing now. That's not what the Heisman's supposed to be, man. It's not supposed to be about what your team does. I can understand if you're below 500 or whatever, but that has zero to do with it. And they're a combined. They've got a combined 3 losses. The 3 teams that they've gotten beaten by have a combined 3 losses.
I think the era that we're in now is just turning everything into like this team. Well, how many wins do you have? Like narrative, like it's not that simple. So honestly, in my opinion, the only people that are actually looking at that are like the people that are like on Twitter. You think the people that are voting for the Heisman care about Jaden Daniels having 3 or 4 losses when he just had like 800-something yards and 4 touchdowns in the game? He's a Heisman. Next question.
Right.
Well,
he had 8 touchdowns in the second to last game of the year.
Yeah, like come on.
Come on, man.
Now, this is before last game, right? This is not including this past weekend's stats. But before this past weekend, this right here, because guys, you know me, I'm gonna as easy as the conversation is, I'm gonna have the conversation either way. Just because we had that one person put out there that Jaden Daniels would be on the bench at Washington at Oregon, and I love Penix, but he's damn sure starting over Bo Nix, right? Like the battle between Penix and Jaden Daniels would be
Penix too.
It'd be legendary. That battle would be legendary in terms of being a fly on the wall of that quarterback battle. Would be unbelievable watching those two push each other. My goodness.
Yeah,
but Bo Nix, I'm going to give you all this stat right here. Jaden Daniels has 20 touchdowns on throws 20-plus yards downfield. 20 touchdowns on throws 20-plus yards downfield. Bo Nix, before this past weekend, had 17 completions on throws 20 yards downfield. These are not the same. These are not the same. Bo Nix has been great this year. Jaden Daniels is on a different level, ladies and gentlemen. What I watched him do to Alabama, that's when I was like, oh, you're different.
Yeah.
God, that tweet made me so angry.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it was Canzano. He's been saying stupid stuff for a long time. All the way back to, the whole realignment stuff with the Pac-12. That guy's a knucklehead.
Isn't he a Heisman voter?
Yeah.
Is he?
Yep.
It's stuff like that, man. I asked myself, like, he's almost on the same. No. Nobody's worse than Colin Cowherd. I think he's the worst. But how does some of these guys have these jobs, man? I'm just trying to. Is it nepotism? This is awful, bro.
Connections, man. Just connections.
Because the knowledge of y'all, I just don't understand it, man. If you think Bo Nix is a Heisman Trophy winner
down the toilet like they did, Canzano and the other guy that was out there, John. Well, anyway, they lied through their teeth with through their freaking teeth the entirety of that whole deal with the realignment stuff between the Pac-12 and whether the Big 12 and all that stuff. It was just misinformation. It's almost like politics, man. It was crazy.
Man, just to say this, man, if anybody believes Bo Nix is just the Heisman Trophy winner, you need to block them and erase them from your life because they don't know nothing about sports. It's almost laughable to even think that Bo Nix is ahead of Jaden Daniels. Because I'm telling you, man, Bo Nix, I guarantee you, we switch teams. If Bo Nix was the quarterback of LSU, let's just switch. Don't even switch just switch the quarterbacks. Bo Nix will probably lose 5 games and wouldn't put up nearly half of the stats he has right now.
RJ said 6.
Oh,
he hit that so smooth. He says 6,
and he'd be probably up there with sacks with Shador as the most sacked quarterback because LSU's line wasn't that hot early in the season. Jaden Daniels was making them boys look great. And I tell people too, like numbers, eye tests. What do you want to do with Jaden Daniels? He's your guy. Like I watched Lamar up close and personal win that Heisman, and honestly, he's not Lamar. But when I look at him, yeah, that guy's a Heisman. That guy's a Heisman. He's got it. He's got the speed. He's got the arm talent. He's able to make people miss an open field. His touch is there on every level. Like, what do you want from him?
Yeah, all three levels.
All three levels. He's that guy.
Dangerous. Pinpoint accuracy.
It's not even. I don't think it's going to be as close as people think it is. But like he said, the people that are making it close are making it a team thing, and it's not that. But once you actually see the Heisman, it's not going to be as close as everybody think it is. It's going to be more of a blowout than what people think.
I have Jaden Daniels winning it, and this is coming from somebody. RJ, you'll know this. Jason, you'll know it. Brinsky, you might have heard me ranting about it. Jance, I know you've heard me ranting about it. We've talked about it. I am a massive Penix fan. I was irate that he didn't make it to New York last season. I thought it was a travesty. And I was going to be hard pressed with the numbers he was putting up. Not that my vote matters. I don't have a vote. But if I did early in the season, I was like, man, it's going to be hard for me to say no to Penix. I mean, he's putting up huge numbers. Jaden Daniels has been undeniable. Undeniable. I think he's been the best quarterback in the nation this season. And it seems to be a quarterback award.
It is.
And he's been unbelievable. And to Truth's credit, Bo Nix does have unbelievable stats. He has been really good. I just think that if you put Jaden Daniels on that Oregon team, I don't think that they have that loss to Washington. And Bo Nix didn't lose them that game. Let's get very clear here. Bo Nix didn't lose them that game. That's not my contention. He played well. My contention is Jaden Daniels is that much next level in terms of what he brings to the table.
When you have a quarterback that's putting up better numbers or close numbers to Bo Nix and Michael Penix in the passing department, and you have over 1,000 yards rushing. Like, think about this. Yeah, like think about this for a second. There's only been one quarterback in the history of college football that's done this.
Lamar.
Oh no, not Lamar. Kyler did this. And that was 4K.
Oh, that's right. He sure
and
did.
1,000 yards. Yes, 4K and 1,000 yards rushing. Jaden Daniels is about to do that. And think about this for a second. Imagine if he would have played for a Pac-12 championship or an SEC conference championship and had the opportunity to play 2 extra games. Like he was on pace to putting up better numbers than Joe Burrow did. Like we were. It's almost, and again, it's almost kind of a travesty that we didn't get to see him in the college football playoffs or competing in the conference championship. Because can you imagine the numbers? ESPN had his projected stats of being 4,000 yards passing and 1,500 yards rushing. Like that. Yep. Do you know how insane that is I can't even do that in NCAA 14. Like, do you know how insane that actually is for a player to put up those particular numbers? And he has to be the Heisman Trophy winner. This shouldn't even be a debate. It shouldn't even be a debate.
I don't disagree at all. I don't disagree in the slightest.
Me neither. I'll fight to the death anybody who says Bo Nix.
And listen, I think his turnaround is awesome. I mean, it's a great story. He's been great for Oregon. What made me so mad was this notion, almost the arrogance of the tweet to say Jaden Daniels wouldn't play here. It's like,
he drinks, bro. That's the other thing. He drinks.
Are you not watching what I'm watching? Because if you were seeing what I was seeing,
a little too much Shady Mile, bro.
Never too much Shady Mile.
Whoever said that, they would have been fired. That's why they don't have a coaching job. They would have been fired.
Matter of fact, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I think after his redshirt freshman year at ASU, going into his redshirt sophomore year, he was actually one of the top quarterbacks in the class that was supposed to be coming out that year. He just didn't come out, and then he got into the issue with his teammates at ASU and he transferred to LSU. But if you go back to his redshirt freshman season, he did the same thing.
Man, he did the same thing. Torched Oregon.
Yes. Outdueled Justin Herbert. One of them was the first-round quarterback that year, but if you go back and watch that game, Justin Herbert versus a freshman, Daniels, he outdueled him.
Killed him in the pocket. I had no idea Jaden Daniels had that mobility, had that scrimming ability. Because when I watched that Oregon game, he was like a statue. He was damn near deception. Because I'm like, he is killing these dudes in the pocket. He's looking off defenders. He's looking at safeties. He's making these incredible throws. Now you had Ayuk and I forgot you had somebody. You had 2 first-round receivers on that team, or first-round quality receivers on that team. But man, I'm like, he was looking like freaking Peyton Manning. I'm like, no, there's no way in hell that's the same quarterback that ran for 1,000 yards or 150 yards against Bama. There's no way.
Brandon Ayuk and then N'Keal Harry. Yep. That was a good offense, man. But I just went back and I was looking. I was like, good Lord, why did he leave? Why did he transfer?
Chaos.
And then, the chaos with the teammates and all that stuff was going on. I was like, okay. And people don't remember that. So they think that he wasn't any good until he got to LSU. Cap. He was actually a Heisman contender his sophomore year, but he got into the issue and then his numbers dropped and then he transferred. So it's Jaden. This has been Jaden Daniels. He'll be a second-round pick, I think. He's great as a second-round pick. So we'll see where that goes. Yeah, they got him graded as a second-round pick right now.
That's a travesty.
When you go to the NFL.
Somebody's going to take him in the first. Probably late.
First round.
Late in the first, someone's going to take him.
I'm going to storm someone's facility and enter the pick in when they're not looking.
He should go. Washington. He should go to San Francisco. Go with Kyle Shanahan.
No. Washington.
He said
I'm not trying to
Washington.
ruin his career. I ain't trying to ruin his career, man. Look, you see what they did with Sam Howell. He got sacked 55 times.
Yeah, I know, man. We need O-line. That's why we couldn't pay nobody.
Gentlemen, we've been going for an hour and 16 minutes. It's about that time because, Jance, I know you have another show tonight, so it's about that time. We go around the table. We let everybody plug up their content where you can find them, their social media, shows, the like. I think the easiest way to do it, as always, is just in the order of the cameras. We'll go Jance, Jason, RJ, and then Brinsky.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Bama Insider. I'll be on in quite a bit. Be on there kind of previewing Alabama, Georgia, kind of recapping a little bit of the Alabama-Auburn game over there. So definitely kind of catch me there. Jan Sports on YouTube. Just made a rant about my Bills losing. So if you want to watch that and some other kind of college football content, Jan Sports. And then Twitter, Jan716. You want to interact, have a conversation. You find me over there as well.
Jason.
Yep, Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame College Football with Jason and the Coach. We are at CFB-pod on YouTube, and then you can find us at hofmedia.us on the internet and JW_HOF on Twitter. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Of course. RJ, my man, it's been far too long. This is going to have to we can't go that long again, my man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. RJ, man, I'm on Instagram at highlightreel_bumpers. Like I said, I do a lot of training. So if you're in the South and you want to get with me, I can get you trained up, get you evaluated, send you on to the next level. I'm gonna be out west here in the next couple of months. I'm in Arizona playing arena ball for the Rattlers. So I'll be out there, and I've trained some people out there too. So just add me on Instagram, man, and I've had people bring me on the podcast from this podcast. So if you want me to come on your podcast, just hit me, man. I'd be more than happy to come on and share out some knowledge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we kind of have a little content creator group we've started, and it's been really positive for all of us. And I think it's great for the viewers as well. Kind of gives access to a lot of great takes. Brinsky, my man, talk to me.
Well, I'm Brinsky Sharp of the Sharpshooters Podcast. We drop every Wednesday. No set time. Just catch it on Wednesday. More than likely it'll be 11 or 2 o'clock when it drops. And we just have a good time. Barbershop talk about all types of topics, especially college football. Since it's in season right now, my Instagram is B_Sharp5. And the same thing on Twitter without the 5. And yeah, just hit me up, interact with me. I love to talk sports. Love it. So as always, Ty, man, appreciate you, my brother.
Appreciate y'all being here. It's always a blast when we get the panel together, and it makes for great content for all those who came and viewed. Speaking of all those who came out, thank you for giving us your time this evening. As always, it was a ton of fun. You make the show what it is. Don't forget to go check out Home Field for all your college football apparel, and Shady Mile to drink away your sorrows when your team loses last weekend, this weekend, whatever it may be, or whenever your favorite player hits the transfer portal. I find that Shady Miles really is positive for moments like that. But until next time, we'll see it. And now we just talked through this.